Welcome back to my channel, and for a change this video is not about the Edwardian buses housed at the Shuttleworth Collection, but it's about the band of Dakotas who are in the UK to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day and their visit to the Shuttleworth Collection over the weekend of the 25th and 26th of May. Ben Smith, one of the pilots with the tour group, gives an interesting tour of Placid Lassie, a C-47 built in 1943.
Hi, my name is Ben Smith. I'm a pilot with Placid Lassie, and we're here at the Shuttleworth Collection to view the collection and show our airplane and the other airplanes to the public. This airplane is painted outside exactly the way she was on D-Day when she towed a glider for the 101st Airborne, plus any FAA required markings and things like GPS antennas that are modern. And when you go inside the aircraft, you'll see a much more of a cargo interior, more modern interior, because though she was in D-Day, she was in market garden towing gliders and dropping paratroopers. In the Battle of the Bulge and Bastogne, she dropped 3 combat supply loads on the 101st when they were surrounded, and then dropped the 17th Airborne across the Rhine. That was 3 years for war life. And after the war, she was an airliner for 20 years. She was a cargo dog for 30 years for a couple operators. Lost an engine. Her last operator just abandoned her in the weeds for a decade until a rich Brit found her, decided to want to get her flying again and take her to Oshkosh. And they did. And a few years later, he decided to make a foundation to operate the airplane so more people could see it. In that time span, we were able to meet Ed Tunison, who was a radio operator for this airplane during the war, and he came over and saw the airplane for the first time since 1945. And so we got to know him, and he told stories. Igor Eileen on the engine is his wife's name. Ada on the other side was the crew chief's girlfriend at the time. Sadly, he passed in 2016. So when we created the foundation, we needed a name, so we named after Ed. We had the Tunison Foundation to remember the actual crew of this airplane. So now that we're inside the airplane, you can see that we have the original primer. When the interior is taken off, this is the original primer of the airplane when it was built. We have a static line. We still do parachute operations for the round canopy people, and we do reenactors. We're going to do active duty military. You see a cargo floor. Originally it was a corrugated floor. The wood floor is more easy to hold cargo on, and it has the tracks for tie downs, and so we have Alaskan Airlines seats. All these aircraft after the war, during the war, had bench seats down the side. When they were sold off the airliners, it's the first thing everyone threw out. Now they're unobtainium to find. This is a little more comfortable. It's very easy to reconfigure. We pull the seats out, we put paratroopers in, put the seats back in. And as you see, looking forward to the airplane, the bulkhead is 2 frames farther forward. The radio operator's compartment and the navigator's compartment have been deleted because in airline use and cargo use, floor space is more important, and you never ran with those positions. Nowadays, we all use a radio. Each pilot has a headset. Back then, the radio operator was a separate position. So now they're up in the cockpit. You can see the cockpit is as small as they can make it, as big as it had to be. And as a big guy like me, it's hard to get in here. So what you're seeing here is actually, from its last operator, was a cargo configuration. So in the war, obviously, you didn't have GPSs. You had similar instruments to these, but these have been more like from the 50s, more like 60s or 70s, for attitude indicators and altimeters. If you want a more period correct one, go look at That's All Brother down the line. But it's very efficient for us flying the airplane. We have all our engine instruments in a row, so in one glance we can see exactly what's right. We tend to like round gauges because with a multi-engine airplane, if the needles are the same, you're good. If they're split, something's going on. You can very easily see that. We'll fly this airplane RFR. We have a passenger coming from a museum in Presque Isle, Maine. He went on the last trip, and now he's coming this trip, and he gets his picture taken everywhere. This is a 2-crew airplane. We're always going back and forth. We have a pilot flying and a pilot monitoring, and we just go back and forth and monitor this airplane. Like old airplanes, if there's paint on it, no one's touched it in 80 years, you shouldn't touch it. If it's all worn and used, that's what we use all the time. When you fly small airplanes, you trim the airplane out, and you're flying straight and level. In this airplane, your cargo can move around on you, and if your friends are mean, they move a lot. You're always trimming the airplane. They come forward to talk to you, you're trimming up. They go to the back, you're trimming down. The airplane's always changing in flight. But when you have it all trimmed out, we're just sitting here with 2 fingers holding the airplane in cruise. Having a great conversation. And if you look, we have our emergency exit up here we're using to fly a flag. If you look to your left, there's what we call the hamburger door in here. And that's because the propeller is turning about 3 inches outside that door. If you open that door when the propeller is turning, you turn to hamburger. We have a saying among our community here, these planes have been flying for over 80 years. The highest known airframe has well over 90,000 flight hours on it. And the saying in our community is, when the last 747 goes to the boneyard, the C-47 crew will go and fly them home.